All right, good evening. Are we on? Yep. Are we on? That works? Yeah, that works. Good evening, everyone, members of council, members of the public who are joining us here in the gallery, and those who are joining us online. Welcome to our monthly council meeting here at our beautiful historic council chambers at Summerside City Hall for May 19th, 2026. We'll begin by calling the meeting to order, or I will call the meeting to order, which I just did here at 5:32 p.m. And I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as presented. So moved, Deputy Snow. Second, Councillor Cameron. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposition, changes, or revisions? Seeing and hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as presented. We begin each one of our meetings here at the City of Summerside by acknowledging that the land upon which we're gathered is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogoi is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. At this time, I'd ask any member of council to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda before you. Seeing and hearing none, we'll take along. We'll move through item 1. Item 2, minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes, so I would ask for a mover and a seconder to adopt the following monthly meeting minutes of the monthly council meeting of April 21st, 2026, of the Committee of the Whole meeting of May 5th, 2026, and of the Special Council meeting of May 5th, 2026. So moved, Councillor McDougall, seconded Councillor Duran. All members of council in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any changes or revisions or rejections? Seeing and hearing none, we're through item 2 minutes. I'll now open the floor to members of council with respect to speaking to any accolades or recognitions in the community. Councillor Snow.
Just quickly, we have Tanner's here tonight, and I just want to recognize the host committee, Summerside Western Capitals, Hockey Canada, teams, fans, residents of the city, everybody that sort of put together 10 days plus of what was probably one of the better events I've seen in the city of Summerside. We hosted a lot of events. It was absolutely amazing. I didn't miss too many games, to be honest. I'm quite a large hockey fan, so I like to take as much hockey in as I can, but some of the best hockey I've seen in a long time, and a really impactful event on the city of Summerside as I went around and spoke to business owners, and obviously running one myself that was heavily impacted. It's just impressive when those events come to Summerside and how much it actually creates a atmosphere within the city that you just can't replicate. So congratulations to everybody involved, and look forward to the next big event we'll host sometime soon.
Yes, Your Worship and Council. I'd like to acknowledge the naming of in the Charlottetown Airport of former Premier Alex B. Campbell, also member of the Order of Canada and a great islander that has contributed to many, many things, Prince Edward Island.
Thank you, councillors. Mine was ditto. Yours is ditto. I didn't see your light go on, Bruce. So yeah, ditto to both, of course. And both phenomenal events. And well-deserved recognition. Now we'll move into public presentations, petitions, and delegations. We have Chad Mann and Derek Bondt from the Prince County Hospital Foundation to provide an update presentation on a wonderful project that the Prince County Hospital Foundation is pursuing here in our lovely city. And so I'd welcome you two up. You can either sit. I think you have a deck, right? There is a deck in the package.
Yes.
So it should come up on the screen.
Yes.
And I will hand the reins over to you. Derek, you've been here before. You know how to turn on the mic, I think. Just push the speaking button. There you go. All right, over to you too.
Coming in?
That's great.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Your Worship and Council. It's certainly a pleasure to be back to present to you folks on the update of where we are. I'm trying to remember if it was back in the fall of 2025, perhaps when we were here last. Just very exciting to be back before you and provide an update on where things are. Certainly in the last year, there's been a lot of progress on the project. We've really delved down now into the specifics of next steps with respect to construction, what our leaseholders are going to look like, continuous talks with all levels of government, and certainly would love the opportunity again to present this evening for you. Mr. Mann, to my right, has been come on the project in a not so much a a volunteer role, but rather we don't like the consulting word, but we're going to use it just for the particulars of explaining what his role is that we felt, given the expansion and work required to move this across the finish line, we really did need a dedicated person to come in and start to really pull all these project or players together with respect to finalizing it. You have to recognize over the last year, or we'll say in the last previous to 6 months before Chad came on, it's all volunteer basis to make this work. So again, we certainly want to thank the city's support over the years to the foundation. It's been enormous in both recruitment efforts that we've tried to work with Health PEI on and the hospital, and the city's been an integral role in that. And we see this project as an extension of that collaborative effort with the foundation and the city going forward. So we certainly want to thank you for your past support and thank you for your continued support as we move ahead. So with Mr. Mann coming on in that role to assist and facilitate next steps, he's been instrumental in coordinating the various players that we do have at the table in an effort to move this ahead. A lot of positive news. As anyone can recognize, there's challenges within the health system. There's challenges with Health PEI. We made a presentation to the health board. Your worship, you were there at that meeting, and certainly there's challenges within that government body. And it's really hard on our end to try and establish those really strong connections on collaboration when they're not entirely have the ability to be at the table. So that being said, although there have been hurdles and there's been challenges, and the communication hasn't always been the best with respect to the various players or parties involved, I'm very happy to say that we are very much closer to getting this over the finish line than certainly where we were. The building permits have been issued. We are in very final talks with nailing down some leaseholder agreements and with respect to RFPs, and Chad's going to talk to those details. So there's been a lot of positive movement on the project. Again, it's a huge thanks to the city, and I'll be frank, in terms of your technical services team have been very, very supportive and helping us along. I know myself was involved, unfortunately, with some of those earlier discussions back late summer, early fall, and they were so great to guide me through kind of the process and what we needed to do. Chad's really picked up on that front, and again, thanks to the staff for assisting us on that. The council may be aware I did send a letter in March. At this stage, we really need to make sure that the model of this will work in the future and that will be sustainable. Chad's going to talk about a lot more details on what where that progress is with respect to a business model and what that looks like. And certainly there's been commitments for the capital side from the province and the federal government. And now we are certainly trying to think long-term of how do we make this work, how do we make this sustainable. We recognize that this is not a city issue. Healthcare is not a city file. I understand that. We're just in the stage of, if we don't do something, if we don't address the issues of retention, of recruitment, of trying to meet childcare needs, of trying to even look at some of that expansion of the actual space within the hospital, we've just, as a foundation level, have seen the impact that can have. When we think back to the days when the ICU was closed. So rightly or wrongly, we feel that we're again, because of the support of the community, in a position to address a lot of these underlying issues, to hopefully move the needle on that recruitment, on that retention, and build a project such that the sustainability of the hospital is really at the core here, and to address those needs such that we're not in a position where we are going to be losing services on a go forward. Because frankly, I think if we left it to government strictly, we wouldn't be it would be a much more dire kind of situation. So again, rightly or wrongly, the foundation has stepped up to address this. There's a lot of volunteer hours that have gone into this to make this work. And we certainly do thank the city for their past support. And we very much look forward to support in the future, because I think we can really, as a group and collaboratively, tick a lot of boxes. We can hopefully address a lot of those issues so that we are in a position where things are sustainable, and it's a great asset to the community as a whole. So barring anything at this stage, just for me, I'm going to let Chad take the reins and kind of walk you through this presentation, and then we'd certainly be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you. Want to switch?
Just move over.
Sure. Yeah, or you got to control the mouse, though.
I can handle that.
There you go.
So thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, council members, for allowing and giving us time here to present. I will say that I've come on board in November. I left an industry that had a tremendous amount of challenges. I've jumped into another industry that has more challenges. So what I will say that the city should be aware of is that every small to medium-sized hospital across the planet is under threat. And it's under threat because of workforce changes. It's under threat because of limited skill sets and expertise that are in the pipeline, and it's under threat with changing demands of our society. So we do have a storm coming, and as challenging, and you use the word challenging a lot in your monologue there. I was going to tell you to tone that down a little bit. The challenges, we're just starting to see them. So, we've been in rough waters in healthcare, and it's going to be rougher waters as we proceed in the next 6, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. We got a tsunami of change coming at us that we're not well equipped for. I am confident that the project that I'm going to run you through quickly there tonight, it's not going to fix everything that's coming at us, but it is definitely an asset the small to medium-sized hospital should be leaning into. So the Horizons group that started meeting 2 years ago has come a long ways in developing what I consider a very meaningful strategy to address some of the challenges in our community and on PEI on the healthcare sector. I'm not going to talk about all the great people that participate in the Horizons project the last 2 years. I wasn't one of them. I came in when this package was already tied up in a bow and ready to go. But there was a lot of missing pieces when I came on board in November. So I came on in November, and the first thing that we've done was to add a little bit of meat to this great plan, this great strategy that's going to unfold over the next 2 years. So we have a vision there that's up on the screen, and I don't have the skill set to spiel this off without reading it. The PCH Foundation has developed a progressive plan to build a facility designed to attract, retain healthcare professionals in our region. And we're really leaning into the UPEI Med School to do that. That asset that was built and opened last year is going to be a game changer as it gets up and running. And within the next 5 years, you'll have upwards of 120 medical residents through that program. It's our aspirations that students in those programs, residents of those programs, when they come and they work at PCH, will have accommodations, will have learning, simulation learning, will have assets that will retain them in this community long term. So at the end of the day, we've stepped up to the plate here and leaned in on resources from the federal government, provincial government, and the foundation to build this asset. It's bold, $38.5 million. That's a significant move by a foundation that typically spends in the area of $2 to $3 million a year for equipment for Prince County Hospital. The foundation is seeing this and treating this as an investment item, so it's not similar to a equipment donation. It's going to be an investment of $15 million in our own community, governed and led and controlled by community members. The foundation will provide project management and guidance for the work for the next 2 years. We are optimistic that our partners at the province, at the federal level, at the municipal level, and other community organizations will step up and help us operate this asset as we move forward and make sure it's sustainable. One thing to build it, second thing to operate it. I'm pleased to state and say to council there, we are bringing in $7 million under a green initiative program. The building will be built to net zero standards, and we expect another $3 million in contributions over the next 2 years for equipment for the building, so total federal contributions of $10 million. The province is stepping up to the table for $10 million over a multi-year period to contribute to the capital, And then we are also going to develop land and property, and I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll have some recovery from that to go towards our commitment here. So overall, $38.5 million project, $32 million building, about $4 million in equipment, and subdivision development, $2.5 to $3 million. So we're running 3 streams, and up there in the screen, and that is small, but you can see the outline in blue, the 13.5 acres that the foundation strategically purchased back in 2024, knowing that the hospital was going to continue to grow and expand in the Summerside area. The option is for the hospital to shrink in services, and as a community, as a city, you do not want to see that. As you want to attract businesses, you need to make sure that we have healthcare and physicians and professional services to service those businesses. The announcement last week at the Slemon Park, great news. The skill sets to come in to pull that off will want to know there's doctors and a plan to sustain the hospital here in the local community. This slide here, again, that's really small for counselors, and we can send this package, and so you can take a look at it and in finer detail. I will say this was a draft that was about a month old, so it's not updated. But you can see that the 13.5 acre site is going to contain the building lot, which is close to 3.5 to 4 acres for the Learning and Innovation Center. That's the largest parcel there. We have duplex lots, we had quadplex lots, and we have a number of commercial lots and institutional lots that will be designed for this development. We're cautiously optimistic that over the next 3 to 5 years, city could see anywhere between $60 and $80 million worth of development at this site here, depending on the end use. And again, a slide here just showing where the building positions on that 13.5 acre property. This parcel of land here is between 3.5 and 4 acres, the currently. So, and that building, and it's important to note, is going to be connected to the hospital with a pedway. So there is a pedway crossing there from the east side of the hospital over to that new Learning and Innovation Center. The building details in itself, we have an architect that's been designing this building for the last 12 months. We have 4 floors, 48,000 square feet. The first floor is going to be daycare services. You might have seen an RFP that was released 2 weeks ago. We have gotten a sufficient amount of uptake on that. It's going to be a great news story in the fact that that service provider, when we decide on that operator, we've already had indications that several of them want to use the easement to access the park for delivery of programming for daycares. So that's innovation. That's an attraction to the community that can support needed services in that area. The second floor is not defined at this point in time. We have 3 options for that. I'm not privy to give the details on it, but we were working with Health PEI and the Prince County Hospital with making sure that that second floor space is directed toward effective and efficient medical services to support and complement Prince County Hospital operations. I will say that the project has already helped PCH, because PCH has been running at a storage space, and knowing that this space is going to be available, they've been able to make room in-house to adapt to their situation. There's also a number of other challenges at the PCH with regards to administration, regards to meeting rooms, space for new staff. This project is going to complement that. Third floor is going to be simulation learning, and Mayor Kuchar, you seen a presentation by Tammy Muse and Paul Young last month at the Prince County Hospital dinner, Foundation dinner. The uptake on simulation learning has been tremendous, and in Charlottetown at the new med school, we're going to have 3 rooms here, and we're also going to have an immersive room. That's going to be a complement not only for Prince County Hospital, but it can service firefighters, first responders, police department, whole host of community organizations that can use that training facility. on the 3rd floor. The 4th floor is going to be residence for medical students at a part of the UPEI program. As I stated, there's 20 in that program this year. By the time this building is opened, we're hoping that number is between 60 and 80, and we're hoping some of those placements obviously are in Prince County, and we want to make sure that they have access to accommodations that give them a good vibe on the community and help on that retention rate, because what studies have shown is where residents do their training is quite often where they end up doing their practice. So to us, having UPEI have a footprint in Summerside has always been an objective that UPEI Med School, and it should be an objective for the city to take our share of that and make sure we're positioned to not only start the footprint, but 5 years from now, a few years from now, expand on that footprint. So the operating model that we have right now is it's very lean. We're working in with that daycare provider. That industry is, the funding model for that industry is tight. There's not a budget, I think, anywhere at the municipal, federal, or provincial level that's not tight. But when you look at UPEI and what they can pay for residents, that's a lower figure too. We have to run this operation as economically as possible. I've been meeting back and forth with the province to make sure that the sustainability of the building is top notch, and that we have a solid plan going forward. But let's face it, when I look at how this building will have to operate long term, we'll have to have a significant amount of collaboration with federal partners, provincial partners, municipal partners, foundation, and other community organizations such as Health PEI, and to make it feasible. What I can say with confidence is the foundation's not looking to profit off this. What we're looking to do is strengthen the community. What we're looking to do is making sure that the PCH is sustainable. What we're looking to do is having that growth in the UPEI Med School impact the community here. Project schedule, and again, Derek thanked the technical services team here at the city. They've been very accommodating to work with. We do have an aggressive timeline. We're just like every other project owner. The building, the subdivision work is going to occur between June and October 2026, and the building instructions, a two-year plan starting in May. So the pad is down now, and the access road was put in December. But the main construction is supposed to start next week, and that will take place over the next 2 years. The Learning and Innovation Center, that's a separate project. We're building a building, we're building a subdivision, but we're also building a mini school here on site as well, and that will encompass about $4 million worth of equipment and technology to operate. That will start later in 2026 and proceed on to commencement and implementation phase in as the building opens in May of 2028. And the entities that will operating the building is going to be PCH Investments and Prince County Horizons. So the foundation has carved out 2 new entities to operate this and insulate this investment stream separate from the foundation. A lot going on in this project. So the project benefits, community owned. The foundation has been very fortunate in our fundraising activities and our investments in the last decade. I'm very proud of the fact that we're putting a stake in the ground here and directing some of that investment back into our own community, as we should. It's going to be connected to a green space, the Rotary Park. We got 75 acres. That's a gem there. I continue to believe that Rotary Park, a century from now, will be the central park of PEI. And we're going to continue to expand and make use of that. We see that this subdivision development is of great benefit to that park, with making sure that there's easements and access for the hospital staff and patients to that park, but also that daycare in floor 1. As I mentioned, potentially $60 to $80 million. I'm recalibrating my numbers already. $70 to $100 million investment on the property development, onward and upward. Diversifications of investment. If I'm the foundation and we're looking at a portfolio that's been strong the last decade, I'm a big advocate of diversification. One of the first things you would want to do is take some of that winnings that you've secured over the last little while and plug it back into the community here. And that's what we're doing with the subdivision development, the property development. It's a good news story, and it's good news for the foundation on an investment strategy, but it's great news for the city. Supporting the PCH. I've been a board member at the Prince County Hospital Foundation starting back a few years ago, and it's been interesting to see how our support has evolved for the Prince County Hospital. Traditionally, it's been on that equipment support, but more and more it's advocacy. It's a voice to make sure that the hospital here gets the resources and investment it's needed. What I see with this vehicle here is at the Learning Center, we're with the new entity, we're creating a board that's going to have stakeholders from the province, going to have stakeholders from potentially UPEI, stakeholders from the city. What we need to do is make sure that they're collaborating and they are an effective voice for further investment and sustainable operations Prince County Hospital, because right now the default is expecting volunteers to do that. We got to be at the table for that. And I know in my experience of 30 years in business, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. When we were building this to net zero specifications, and I think that's a great segue into where the city sees its future and how that developments are coming online. I know the challenges are in energy, and I know the challenges are with regards to protecting our environment. I'm pleased to state with the program that this is under, we're receiving our federal dollars under, it's a green initiative. Project deliverables, this is a bad slide. And the reason it's a bad slide because, when I look at the project deliverables, there was one main one, and it's not on this slide, and that is the attraction and recruitment and retention of healthcare professionals. That's the biggest drive that's behind this project here. We do see this investment as not only helping the Prince County Hospital, but mainly the staff at the Prince County Hospital. So we do, and as I mentioned, I do want a UPEI. We do want a UPEI footprint in our community here. We do want to continue to support PCH operations with daycare services, with complementary services through healthcare. We do want to see innovation brought forward. This project is very innovative. The daycare aspect, the green aspect, the subdivision aspect, the new collaboration model with that new entity aspect, attraction, retention, development tool, not only for the hospital, but for the whole community. That simulation learning will be available for the community. Foster collaboration. I probably use that word way too much. You use challenges way too much. I use collaboration way too much. But let's face it, for this to be successful, we need all partners rowing in the same direction. And when I've been seeing this building, but for the future of the Prince County Hospital and to retain the services and to expand the services that we want, we need to work a little bit differently. And I believe this brings forward an innovation model to force us to work differently. And finally, building capacity and resiliency in the healthcare system. I've only been in this role for 6 months, but I see ways that this can save the province money, can save taxpayers money, because the space that we're going to provide is going to be feasible. We're not driving it on a per-profit basis. We don't want to lose our shirt on it, but we definitely are bringing a new model forward that's innovative and can be a relief to the taxpayer versus other models that may be available. I don't know if I allowed time for questions. I might have taken up too much.
Thanks, Chad, and thanks, Derek, for the presentation. Yeah, I'll open the floor to council if there's any follow-up questions from members of council. Councillor well, wait till your light goes on, McDougal.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
see his hand moving from up here.
Thank you, and thanks for that presentation. You used a couple of words there that, one of them especially, the tsunami. I thought we were already in it, but you say there's another one coming? No, this is a great project, and later this evening we'll be announcing what support we're giving to this project, so thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, Bruce, I think you're well aware of the physical capacity of the province right now and our governments in general. You know, we've been fighting a war. We've been in the middle of a war for what seems like some time now. But now we're going to be restraining back at a time when that war is still happening, so, due to budgetary reasons.
Any other questions from members of council? Councilor McCollum, yep, go ahead.
Chad, just coming near the end of your portion of the presentation, you had mentioned something that this model would become a relief for the taxpayer, saving money. Could you just expound on that just a little bit?
Oh, well, let's, right now, the building construction costs for a hospital are running around 1,000 to 1,200 a square foot for medical space. We potentially, with opening this building, could allow Prince County to repurpose some space internally and move some service into the building. That's an awful big capital savings if they do not have to do that. The other side of it, Norma, is that the hospital now has constraints on storage space, and they have been working to move some services out to the new community health center. Rather than repurposing those, if we have ours, our model built at a feasible price, we can lean in on that. So I see, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I've been in the building now for 6 months, and the Prince County Hospital is in the middle of master planning. And I don't want to speak on behalf of Prince County Hospital or Health PEI, but I have been engaging them to make sure that this asset here can save the taxpayer or help the taxpayer, and there's opportunity, tremendous opportunity.
And I just add to that too, Councilman Coleman, is with respect to, if we look at the land acquisition itself and the fact that the foundation is committed to $15 million and the fact that the foundation itself has driven the construction management, the architectural design, all of that work, if we put that back into a government type of scenario, the cost of and the time for that to take place, to me, would be vastly different from where we are today. Yeah.
I like the idea when you talk about it, when you speak of it about community, that it's coming back to the community. I think that means a lot to the local people, so that's good.
No, absolutely, and I think Chad made the point earlier, and I think it's important for council to know, is that this is an investment and to Chad's point, that the foundation has been very, very fortunate in the last number of years, both from community support and donations, also with their investment strategy. And we wouldn't do this, how would I put it? We wouldn't do this if we didn't have the money. If we didn't have the resources, we couldn't do this, right? So this is so for the council and the city's aware, is that we see this as, how do we, given the fortunate position we're in, to give back and to reinvest back into the community. That being said, though, we can't do it on our own. We need that collaboration. We need everyone to help us out with it.
That's good, thank you.
Thanks, guys. I guess my question was more, and I know it's sort of more the operational, but for anybody that's watching tonight, so the daycare numbers, what are they thinking would be the daycare? What would your enrollment be for daycare?
Well, for the number of spaces.
Yeah.
So the ground floor is 12,000 square feet. We believe the daycare portion of that will be about 7,500 to 8,000. We're expecting that the proposals that will come in will be anywhere from 40 to 45 in the daycare and potentially 20, 25 for an after-school program. That could potentially be scaled up depending on the operator and what their objectives are, up potentially to a maximum maybe 50 daycare spaces and 30 to 40 after school.
And the hours, would they be extended hours?
So in
for
our
staff?
RFP, we requested them to come forward with extended hours and matching the shift hours at the hospital.
Perfect, yeah, that's what I was wondering. I guess my only concern would be, like, we have so many great daycares in the city now. I'd be worried about, like, somebody putting in for it and closing what they have now and opening, like, do you know what I mean? I'm hoping that it will be in addition to what we have now and not, like, do you know what I mean, what I'm trying to say? So anyways, but it's exciting. I know we need the daycare spaces very badly, so, and it's to work around the hours of, you know, the shift work is amazing.
I went to do a will signing the other day in a long-term care facility, and somebody stopped me in the hallway and said, "You, Derek Bondt?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "You're on the foundation?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're doing that project?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm only working 40% because I can't get daycare and I can't get 80 to 90% of what I can and want to work because I can't get the coverage." So he said, "Keep going, like, this is what we need." So it's really great to actually start to hear some of that feedback within the community. And absolutely, the goal is not obviously to take away, it's to add to because my understanding and what we're still hearing, because initially the project came from an internal review that Paul Young had done at the time when he was CAO of the hospital. And one of the biggest concerns from return to work for nursing staff and hospital staff was daycare challenges. Recognizing a lot of new staff now maybe don't have the parent or the grandparents around to help. So we based a lot of this initial project on that push. And we're still hearing that same concern today. So we're no real concern that the need won't be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, just more of a comment or observations, but I'd just like to point out that, you know, to me, it's an amazing project. I think it's amazing what the foundation and the board and you people have done, the time and the effort. Anytime there's a 40 to, and it could grow to $100 million project in the city of Summerside, to me is a great thing, but there's so much vision and multi-purpose or multi-use for this building, so it's just a great story, and it's really good to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Derek, Chad, to yourselves, all members of the Foundation Board, past and present. And of course, perhaps most importantly, all of the thousands of people in our community who do the bake sales, show up at the golf tournaments, write the check every single month, bequeath their estates to the foundation. Everyone in this community that pulls for our hospital and our community, thank you to all of them, and thanks for collecting all their money and putting it to good use. So we look forward to seeing the next steps. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks, folks.
Great, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, Council, we are 6:10 PM. I made a note on my agenda here to do my new reminder that our council meetings have a 3-hour time limit. After that, I will put a motion on the floor if we want to extend it. I know, Norman, we're going to try and stay under 3 hours. That's the point. So we'll try and keep everything on time. And, you know, I think from members of the public, council meets here twice a month for a number of hours, but at the same time, they also meet weekly at a variety of different committees, meetings with residents, events and functions, all of the things. So we try and make sure that the time is focused as best we can here tonight. I usually do that before we're going to talk about a couple of things at council, so we can try and keep it together. All right, we'll move on. Appointment to committees. There's no appointments to committees here this evening. We're moving into item 6, the introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. 6A, which would be resolution COS 26-21, debt management policies. Chair of Finance Committee, Councillor McDougall. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a resolution here on debt management. This is something that we've been working on for a while, and I want to thank Kristen McDonald, Director, for all the work that she's done on this file. So it's Resolution COS 26-021, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison. Whereas the City of Summerside recognizes the importance of effective debt management in supporting the city's long-term financial stability, while ensuring that infrastructure needs related to growth, development, and the replacement of existing assets are addressed in a sustainable manner. And whereas the Finance Committee has reviewed and recommends the adoption of a general tax fund debt management policy and the utility debt management policy, which will assist the city in managing its financial resources responsibly, supporting existing capital investments, and preserving borrowing capital capacity for future capital requirements. Be it resolved that Council hereby adopts the City of Summerside General Tax Fund Debt Management Policy and the Utility Debt Management Policy as presented, effective immediately upon approval. This resolution is made upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting held on March 26, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Resolution COS 26-021, moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council?
I'm good.
You're doing the next one? That's why you're still standing?
Did we vote on that?
No, we didn't vote on it yet. I just thought you'd
Okay.
sit down between them.
Oh,
That's okay, you can keep standing, that's fine.
Okay, I'll
Stretch
stand.
out. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor McDougall, back to you.
I'll begin. Thank you, Your Worship. This is Resolution COS 26-022. And this is a resolution pertaining to the Prince County Hospital Foundation, pertaining basically to the presentation made here just a few minutes ago. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Corey Snow. Whereas the Prince County Hospital Foundation has requested funding for the construction of their Innovation and Learning Center development, and whereas the City of Summerside recognizes the value of the Prince County Hospital Foundation's contributions to enhance health care and medical education in Prince County. Be it resolved that Council approves a total contribution of $200,000 to the Prince County Hospital Foundation in support of the development of the Innovation Learning Center. Be it further resolved that the contribution of $200,000 be made in 3 installments, with payment being made in the following fiscal years: $100,000 in 2026-27, $50,000 in 27-28, and $50,000 in 28-29. This resolution is made upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting held on March 26, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Resolution COS 26-022 is on the floor, moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Deputy Snow. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Thank you to your Finance Committee and all members of council. At this point, I will call on Councillor Duran to proceed with the following resolution. Councillor.
I guess since we're standing up, I'll stand up. Although I was just as tall if I sat down. Resolution COS 26-023, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Trenholm. Whereas Council considered the implementation of complete streets policies in alignment with the official plan, and whereas Council reviewed the local road cross-section options presented by staff and the Planning Committee, along with the associated sidewalk cost-sharing models, and whereas Council supports the Planning Committee's preferred cross-section identified as option 4, which includes reduced travel lane widths, shared use for cyclists and vehicles, a separate sidewalk and on-street parking, or in cases where future active transportation infrastructure is planned, no on-street parking. And whereas Council further supports a 33-33-33 cost-sharing model for sidewalk construction with costs shared between the developer, the city, and home builders. Be it resolved that council adopt option 4, incorporating reduced travel lane widths, shared use for cyclists and vehicles, a separate sidewalk and on-street parking, or in cases where future active transportation infrastructure is planned, no on-street parking, as the standard local street cross-section for new subdivisions. And be it further resolved that council adopt the 33-33-33 cost-sharing model for sidewalk construction in new subdivisions. And be it further resolved that staff be directed to prepare the necessary bylaw amendments and implementation framework to give effect to these decisions. And be it further resolved that this policy shall take effect on January 1st, 2027, and shall apply to all applicable development applications submitted thereafter unless otherwise determined by council.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 26-023, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Trenholm, is on the floor. I will open the floor to questions, statements from members of council. Okay, so Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a little bit of an issue with this resolution. I'm not completely against it. But it's something that's been bothering me since we talked about it the last time, and I had this feeling, if you're not 100% feel good about it, then it's not the right thing to do for me so I reached out to some developers. And I really think that we need to, my concern all along was we're going to put extra pressure on the developers in this city, extra cost. And I remember when we were here basically on our hands and knees begging for developers to come into Summerside to build. And now they're here. I don't think it's the right thing to put an additional cost on them. Now, I know we had a presentation of tech services last couple of weeks ago or whatever, but I'm just, when I reached out and I talked to the developer today, there's just one story against the other, and I think we really need to sit down and talk to the developers. You know, I'm being told that there's $400 a meter difference in construction of streets in the city of Summerside than anywhere else. And, you know, you put that on top of, you know, the third or whatever it is. The other part of it is I'm really concerned, how does this affect the new development on the Ben Cairns Boulevard? Are we, you know, we've had conversations around that. Is it adding additional? Now, believe me, I'm not totally against it. I love to have a sidewalk just as well as anybody else. But I don't want to drive developers away or give them a reason to move away from the city of Summerside. And I really think I would like to table this issue until we have a discussion, further discussion with our developers. I guess there's,
Just before I go to you, Councillor Morrison, I would just note to, in the event the councillor wants to put a motion to table, but it hasn't been done yet, the process, and remind council that if someone puts a motion to table an item, that it would need to be seconded, it would go to a vote, and after that, then there would be no further debate or discussion on the item. Councillor Morrison.
I'm not 100% sure I understood every bit of that.
I'll clarify it again, just because careful, we've gone through this a couple of times before. So, and I mentioned it because Councillor McDougall spoke about maybe tabling. The correct procedure would be a councillor would move to table the motion, and once that happens, as long as it's seconded, it goes to a vote of council. If council votes, and that's it. There's no more There's no more discussion. You can't discuss to table or not to table. That's it. Once the motion to table is put on the floor, the motion to table must be voted on without further debate. So I'm just reminding council that is the process. That's it. Just so we don't get ourselves, just trying to keep the procedural rules in place. So I'll hand it over to Councillor Morrison and continue with the process. Yeah.
Thank you. So can I discuss this without?
Yeah, you can talk to it unless you know, if you put a motion to table the item, then you would look for a second, then there would be no more discussion after it. That hasn't been done yet. There's just been, it was raised as mentioned. Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what Councillor McDougall said, and I've said this numerous times, that I'm not opposed to the complete streets, and there's no question it makes a much nicer, neater, tidier job. It's impressive when you look down at a street like that, as opposed to some of the situations that we have now. Not that there's anything wrong, but that doesn't mean they can't be a little bit better. My problem is a little bit maybe like Councillor McDougall's, and I get to hear from 2 or 3 people on a pretty regular basis, and they're not real happy about the additional costs. I think likewise, like some people, and what I've been told is that they could probably live with the 1/3 deal, but I'm just not 100% sure if we need to do all that yet. And I'd like to maybe a little more information, and I know there's lots out there, and I know we spend a lot of time on it, and I don't want to drag, and I'm not good at dragging things out, and most times I'm more than prepared to move forward, but I don't know if I'm there yet on this particular resolution. And like I say, I hear quite regular, and people aren't necessarily happy, and the last thing I want to do is, there's no one more pro-development than I am, but I don't want to hinder it or slow it down when things are going good. And we go through cycles, and there's been a few little minor glitches in the last few years, but we've had more development in the last 3 or 4 years in this area than probably at any other time before. So with that comes some growing pains. So I think I'd like a little more information, or a little bit more discussion, or maybe hearing from some different people just before I commit to making any changes just yet. So just my thoughts.
Go to Councillor Adams, and then I see Councillor Cameron and Councillor Brown, if we go in that order. Is that okay?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I've had several contractors reach out to me as well. The $400 plus per meter seems to be consistent from them all, that this would create for them. They all have indicated that while they appreciate talking to staff and, you know, having the relationship built with staff, they would like to get in front of council and talk to council about it, so that we understand and we can question them directly about things that, you know, we've heard or so on. And for me personally, I sort of feel like maybe we're doing it backwards. We have the highest standards on the island for our developments, and I'm really thinking that those should be reviewed and looked at before we go and put something else in place on top of it. Like, it seems like we're just putting the cart before the horse, and the other problem has been brought to us for many years, so I'm thinking we should deal with that before we add more fuel to the fire. And like, nobody has, like, I know the development, I know like my end of the city that I live in and represent, the development is consistent and ongoing, and the developers have been very upfront and honest and great to work with. So I feel like we need to, you know, take this at face value for what they're telling us and what they're seeing across the island too.
Thank you, Your Worship. I can completely understand where everyone's coming from from looking at it from the developer's point of view and the cost that they would incur with that. And I'm always okay with finding more information. That is always good for me. I am looking at it maybe from a different lens of the residents who have elected us into these positions to make sure that they get around our city safely and securely. While it is nice for streets to look nice and appealing, I think it's also very important that our residents get to their places they need to go safely without having to walk on the side of a road, without having to dodge traffic to get there. And to me, this complete streets policy speaks more to how we're moving people around the city, and not that I want to say that I don't care about developers. I care more about the residents who have voted me into this position to make sure they get to where they need to go. But I'm also very okay with finding other options that do suit developers a little bit better if that is what people would like to do. But to me, right now, looking at this, it serves a good purpose of how our residents will get around safely, how our kids will get around safely, how our seniors get around safely, and that to me is the more important aspect of this policy. While it does suck that some people will incur more costs, that unfortunately is sometimes the way life goes, to make sure that people get to where they need to be without being injured along the way.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just to respond to a couple of points made. First one being that some developers have cited that it would cost them an additional $400 per meter. That is inaccurate. At the 33 option, the developer would end up covering $90 a meter for the curb and gutter, and $99 a meter for the gravel subbase and whatnot, to a total of 189, not 400. And just to respond to where it would hurt developers, mainly the small developers, feedback from those developers, not all of them, granted, but some of them is what directly shaped this, well, what the recommendation ended up ultimately becoming a resolution. But so the options such as collecting a sidewalk contribution at the building or the development permit stage, that's what spread costs across individual builds instead of requiring like a large upfront subdivision payment, and that can help improve cash flow for especially the smaller operators. Another point that was mentioned was that Summerside already has the highest development standards on PEI. So while that may be acknowledged, and broader development standards are already under review, to Nick's point, sidewalks are basic safety infrastructure, not a premium feature. So this resolution, just keep in mind that it only applies to local roads and not every street. So when you have the main street going into a subdivision, that's the one that we're talking about, not the little offshoots of streets. So just keep that in mind, that this isn't for every single street and every single subdivision. Yeah, so it maintains the existing asphalt standard. It avoids costly redesigns. There's a couple other points here, but those were sort of the main ones that the arguments that kind of initially came in during this discussion. So I just wanted to address those, especially the $400 per meter number. I'm not sure where that came from. Maybe the 50/50 version would have that, but not this one.
If I could clarify that?
Let's just go to Ken first and then
Yeah,
come back
okay.
so everyone gets the first chance to speak to. Councillor Trenholm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, perfect. All right, thank you. Yeah, I guess just, I certainly can echo, I guess the two councillors to the side of me. But I think staff has, in this case, I think staff has gone a far deal. Like they've met with developers, they put that out there. Pretty much as soon as we started to talk, it was one of the first things they did, and they met. They brought it back to council. We heard the information, and some of the same things we're saying as councillors. That's the feedback they actually presented, and it was explained, the rationale. If it was different in opinion, it was explained. I guess for me, and I'm definitely I'm thinking of what Councillor Cameron said, it's about safety, and it's about how they can we move around the city. And if we reference the official plan, the overall vision, there's 3 overall visions within our official plan that talks about this. We want to be a healthy community and provide opportunities for complete streets for vehicles, bikes, and pedestrians. So we want neighborhoods and parks to be connected and close. Council statements of policy, there's actually 9 of them that speak to this. I won't read them all. But this is number 1. Newly developed areas will be diverse, walkable neighborhoods. They all have the same flavor, but we really can't have a walkable neighborhood if we don't have sidewalks. So if we're going to delay or not move on this as a council, we seriously need to say, well, we need to review and change our official plan. Because when I'm reading council statements of policy, because that's how our official plan's worded, and there's 9 statements that relate to pedestrian-friendly road design and neighborhoods, this exactly is asking for what we're doing and what we're to do according to our official plan. So I just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor McColeman?
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, all of the comments are pretty interesting, and just from different perspectives, they're all very important points. I guess I'm looking at it through governance. We certainly have the policies. We certainly have everything that we must follow under the Cities Act. But also, if we do anything around working with people who, say, for example, may have different opinions, I think another attempt to talk something through covers a lot of maybe misinformation or questions or even information that gets out there that city officials don't listen. I understand that the pricing and all of the information has come back to council, but if there's even one little area where it could cause doubt or it could cause some kind of information for people to feel that they're not being represented or heard, I believe that it would be important to have another second conversation that would involve the developers, even if they've been asked before. But I also think from the accessibility point of view, it's very, very important if we could have some people that be representative of that, because there may very well be something that we could find within that would still allow for complete streets, but we may do it in a different way to reach the same method of what we want to achieve for making it a walkable community. So I'm not against it, but I do believe that we need to hear if there's any kind of information that people are questioning or the developers. We really need to be listening to what people are saying, whether it's our accessible community or our developers. So that's where I'm at on it.
Councillor McDougall, the follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to clarify a thing on the $400. The $400 it's more expensive to develop in the city of Summerside before we even pass this. It's got nothing to do with this. The cost of development in the city of Summerside is $400 more a meter, and that's been told to me a couple of times. Now, I'm sure that, and there's some extra standards that they talk about too, that's above and beyond what's they have to do in other places, including Charlottetown. So I'm not against this. In fact, I'd love to see it and I'd love to support it. And I probably can support it after we have a conversation with our developers we got to get a balance here. And because one thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to drive development from this city. We're here to make this city grow, and I think we need to do everything we can to satisfy developers so that they can do their job.
Yeah, just quickly, I'm definitely not against it by no means. Hearing other councillors talk, I was of the impression that feedback from developers had already occurred, and that's how we got to this point. Now, if I think based on the resolution and not coming into effect until January 2027, I think we do have a little bit of time
Right.
if, and only if, we are actually going to get additional feedback that differs from what has already been obtained by staff. So if there was several developers that were against it, if it's that same regurgitation of why they're against it, then that makes zero sense to me. But if there's actual information that we haven't got as council, then I'm 100% for it. I think we have time to do that. But I would like to acknowledge the amount of time that the committee and staff has put into it. So we've gotten quite far along the process. To table it, just to table it and kick it down the road, I don't think is fair. But if somebody can tell me that we're gonna get some new information or a process to get it over the finish line in a reasonable amount of time, I think we do have some time to do that, but it just has to be worthwhile.
I would like to propose to table this motion until we have a conversation with the developers and tech services. And there's two stories, and
So are you moving to table?
I'm
So
moving
as I
it.
said earlier, when
Yeah,
you move to
okay.
table, there's no further conversation.
okay.
You can't say
I
move to table and
this
then give your
motion.
conversation. So if you're gonna move to
Great.
table, it doesn't go with reasons. It simply goes
we need a
move to
second.
table. You need a seconder, yep. Seconded by Councillor Morrison. So Councillor McDougall has moved to table the discussion on resolution COS 26-023, seconded by Councillor Morrison. I would ask for a show of hands on this. So all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. This is in favor of tabling the motion. I have Councillor McDougall, Councillor McColman, Councillor Adams, Councillor Morrison, and Councillor Snow. So the motion is tabled. Thank you, Council. With that, we move on to the next item. 6D, Resolution 26-024. That's the Code of Conduct Bylaw. Councillor McColman.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to bring forward Resolution COS 26-024. It was moved by myself, Councillor Norma McColman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Corey Snow. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act Code of Conduct Regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council dated February 28, 2023, require municipalities to update their Code of Conduct bylaws for compliance. And whereas the City of Summerside's Code of Conduct Bylaw number CS-3 requires amendment to comply. And whereas Council deems it advisable to repeal and replace Code of Conduct Bylaw CS-3 in its entirety with a new bylaw that incorporates required amendments. Be it resolved that bylaw CS-26-02, being a bylaw to set expectations for the behavior of members of council in carrying out their functions and making decisions that benefit the City of Summerside, and intended to replace Code of Conduct Bylaw CS-3 and all amendments thereto, to be hereby read a first time.
Thank you, Councillor McColman, and that was seconded by?
Deputy Mayor Corey Snow.
Great, thanks. Resolution COS 26-024, moved by Councillor McColman, seconded by Deputy Snow, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Back to you, Councillor McColman.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to bring forth Resolution COS 26-025. It was moved by myself, Councillor Norma McColman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Corey Snow. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act Code of Conduct Regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council dated February 28, 2023, require municipalities to update their Code of Conduct bylaws for compliance. And whereas the City of Summerside's Code of Conduct Bylaw, CS-3, requires amendment to comply. And whereas Bylaw CS-26-02, being a bylaw to set expectations for the behavior of members of council in carrying out their functions and making decisions that benefit the City of Summerside and intended to replace Code of Conduct Bylaw CS-3, all amendments thereto was read a first time at this council meeting. Be it resolved that Bylaw CS-26-02, Code of Conduct Bylaw, be hereby declared read a first time and approved as being read at this council meeting. And I'd like to point out to members in the gallery and those viewing that the Code of Conduct Bylaw is available online, or if you wish to have a copy, you can certainly call the administration office and it's there for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. Resolution COS 26-025, moved by Councillor McColman, seconded by Deputy Snow, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor, and thank you for the work of your committee on this over the last number of months. I will hand it over at this point to Resolution 6F, resolution regarding the SEED report recommendations. Councillor Trenholm, Chair of the SEED Committee.
Sure, thank you. Just before I read it, I just want to definitely thank council again for the mandate. We appreciate that. I want to acknowledge that I can see A. Trenley, as well as Bev Cornish, a committee member in the room, and some seniors who we had an opportunity to meet with. We've learned so much from everybody in the room and through the seniors through this process. So in short, the committee was tasked and mandated, which council set out for, to advise council on gaps in current municipal policies programs, identify prioritize key issues facing older adults, and recommendations. So you all have the report, and now I'll begin by reading the resolution. COS 26-026, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McColman. Whereas the City of Summerside City Council established a Seniors Engagement and Equity Directive, called SEED, on September 15th, 2025, to serve as a fact-finding and advisory capacity, providing recommendations to Council on the needs and priorities of seniors 55+ in Summerside. Whereas seniors represent a growing and significant portion of the population in the City of Summerside, with unique needs and contributions that impact community well-being and planning. Whereas the SEED Committee conducted extensive public engagement with over 500 seniors, ensuring that a comprehensive set of recommendations is directly informed by the voices and priorities of seniors. Whereas the SEED Committee's final report, called A Clear Path Forward, Seniors, Priorities and Solutions, includes prioritized municipal recommendations and provincial advocacy items. Whereas the SEED Supplement is a companion document to support a clearer understanding of the SEED process, document key implementation considerations, and provide draft policy and bylaw language intended to assist city staff and council in advancing priority actions in an efficient and coordinated manner. Whereas the timely consideration and implementation of the SEED Committee's recommendations will enhance the quality of life for current and future seniors in the city. Be it resolved the council adopt A Clear Path Forward, Seniors, Priorities and Solutions, therefore referred to as the SEED Final Report, and the SEED Supplement as a strategic roadmap for advancing senior priorities, programs, services, and supports. Be it resolved that the CIO and council work together to advance the following municipal recommendations, subject where required for future budget approval, bylaw adoption, and partnership agreements, and or council direction.
Thank you, Councillor Trenholm. Was that moved by yourself and seconded by?
Yes, Norma McColman.
McColman.
Yep.
Great, thank you. Resolution COS 26-026, moved by Councillor Trenholm, seconded by Councillor McColman, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I guess I will have a comment briefly. Councillor, thank you for all the work that you put into this. Thank you to all of the hundreds and hundreds of seniors from across our community. I did attend a number of the meetings and was energized and enthused by them. An incredible amount of work. There are a lot of wonderful guideposts and recommendations in here on a variety of different areas and topics. There are a couple that I would take note of that I think are really valuable, particularly as they relate to accessibility and how seniors move in and around our community, whether that be on foot or on bicycle, by themselves, or with each other. So thank you for all of the work that you have done, and thank you for bringing this forward. It is, I don't know if many folks know who Doug Griffiths is. He is an author. He wrote a book called 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. Doug Griffiths was here 12, 13 years ago when I was with the Chamber and had a conference. One of the ways that you kill your community is you forget about your seniors. You don't pay attention to the seniors in your community, and that was certainly something that we do not want to do here in Summerside, and I think it would be incumbent on all of us to be aware of all of the recommendations that came from those seniors and that are contained in this report, and try and approach decisions here consistently with those recommendations. So thank you, Councillor. At this point, I will then call for a vote. Resolution COS 26-026, moved by Councillor Trenholm, seconded by Councillor Coleman. Still on the floor. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor. At this point, we will move to item 6G, Maritime Electric Invoice. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. Resolution COS 26-027, moved by Councillor Morrison and seconded by Councillor Snow. Whereas the City of Summerside received invoice number INV 0022469 from Maritime Electric for generation-related services for the period of February 10th to February the 19th, 2025. And whereas the charges for these services arose following a transformer failure at the Sherbrooke substation. And whereas it is staff's understanding that these costs were incurred as a result of Maritime Electric opening transmission capacity to the City of Summerside, enabling Summerside Electric to do business with NB Power in order to avoid rolling blackouts while maintaining system reliability at a time when all our diesel generators were running. Be it resolved that Council approves payment of invoice number INV 0022469 in the amount of $542,080 plus HST of $81,312 for a total of $623,392. This payment is in addition to all other costs incurred by Summerside Electric in response to the failure of a transformer owned by Maritime Electric. This resolution is pursuant to a decision made at the in-camera meeting of May the 5th, 2026, conducted in accordance with Section 119, Section E of the Municipal Government Act.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Resolution COS 26-027, moved by Councillor Morrison, seconded by Deputy Snow, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Councillor Trenholm, your light is on. I don't know if that was from the last one. No? Deputy Snow?
I guess just quickly, there's been lots of discussion around this. I am somewhat annoyed that we're having to pay this invoice, given the circumstances and everything I think surrounded this invoice. I also need to clarify that it's my understanding that we have some legal advice that paying it is sort of probably a necessity at this point, other than what I would like to do. I think there's obligations to somewhat provide service, and maybe we get muddied in some of the interpretation or actual agreements, but I think it's all very clear that one company, organization, corporation sort of has everything tangled up for its own benefit. So I think it's very unfortunate that we're in this situation. It's very unfortunate that we're getting an invoice of this amount now. I just don't see a way around paying it, so.
Councilor Adams?
And I guess it's no shock where I stand on this. I feel the same way. If there was any way around it, I would definitely be up for it. But I don't like having to pay it. I don't agree with having to pay it, but we're being told, it was not from staff, but staff are being told that this is the cost that we have to incur to keep the lights on for everybody during those few days. So yeah, I'm okay to pay it, but I'm not at the same time.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I certainly agree with the comments that have been made already. I'll use Deputy Mayor's word about monopoly. I feel like the city has been put into a monopoly game, and we're just one little pawn on the board that's being moved around and being put in the situation to pay something when we've already paid our annual amount that is in our agreement. And I do think that one of the things that's really important, and we hear it from our residents, we hear it from businesses, and I am echoing it tonight as I feel councillors feel it. We need to have our own independent connection so that we don't run into these kinds of situations. We're being a good steward, we're being a good neighbor, but also I think we have the right to be independent and be able to charter our own course. And so that's how I feel tonight. Thanks.
Just pretty much to repeat what everyone has already said, I support, I guess, the fact that I think we need to pay it, and I think that for me, I fear that fighting it would cost us more in the long run. Plus, there's the risk that fighting it, we'd have to go and pay it anyway. So I think this is sort of the least risky option. Like everyone else, it's unfortunate. I think that we are even in the position to have to consider it, but here we are.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. And is there any more lights? So thank you all members of council for appears to be unanimous thinking around the frustrations. So resolution COS 26-027 moved by Councillor Morrison, seconded by Councillor Snow, has been on the floor. I'll now call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Council. Now we'll move into department reports. Look at that. We are 10 minutes ahead of time. Thank you, Council. I would note it is my daughter's birthday party tonight, so I need to get back. Well, her birthday was spent driving her brother partway across the country. So anyway, I have to make it up to her. So I thank you for being on time. I appreciate it. We'll now move into department reports. I'll start. This was my idea to add this, and every month I think, why did I do that? But that's not the only thing I think of every month. So a quick little summary from Mayor's report. This is verbal. And just summary of key events and activities that I participated in here to share to members of the public and to members of council. Participated in the EMO exercise. A quick note, city staff ran a full simulation exercise almost a month ago for emergency response. It was interesting, there's no question, identifying where the potential hiccups and barriers were. The first being making sure that everyone could actually get into the command center. So those things get sorted out, but I know Tanner, effectively I had to hang out in my office. I was with Deputy Snow, and it was a full simulation exercise with briefing notes and signing states of emergency and doing TV information, the whole bit. So that was interesting and valuable. It is really important for all of us here at our city to continue to practice. You practice, 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 so you're better when you need it. And myself and all of you presented our state of the city within the last month. That was valuable exercise both internally and externally. I hopefully it shares all the wonderful things that we're doing across our city here. The Prince County Hospital Foundation recognition dinner, I had to speak at that. We had our community awards again. Everyone was there. Just a wonderful evening, as I'm sure all of you would agree. The Federation of PEI Municipalities had their AGM. I was here in Summerside. I had to speak at that, and thank you, councillors. I know Councillor Snow and the president of the association, esteemed president of the PEI Federation of Municipalities, Councillor McDougall, was there in attendance. CMHA Gala, welcome remarks and speaking at that event here in Summerside. There's a lot happening in the last month. The Tops Take Pounds Off Atlantic annual AGM was here in Summerside. 250 or so members up at the St. Eleanor's Lions Club. What a phenomenal group. Spent the morning with them, and I know other councillors have spoken to them in the past years. Continue to meet with the UPEI medical school class. The community, Summerside is part of the community rotation, so there are another couple medical students in there. We had McHappy Day serving coffee, which was smart. If anyone ever does it, it's better to serve coffee in the morning than trying to serve lunch. So I've learned that in my lesson after 4 years. And I can get away with telling people their order cost them $400. So that that was my go-to. We did a compass spot there highlighting the state of the city. A couple other quick ones. Some meetings with our federal member of parliament on power and electricity, as well as with our premier and minister of energy. The Centennial Cup opening, incredible event showcasing our entire city, and it was a really touching. I don't always love having to go to Charlottetown to do an event, but it was an incredibly touching and warm and just an all-around phenomenal time to see Alex Campbell recognized by so many people in PEI with the naming of the Charlottetown Airport. And I had a lovely conversation and chat with him afterwards. And I think the world of him. I think he's certainly one of my political heroes, so you don't get to hang it with them that much and also see them recognized for their contributions to this incredible province. And then just a quick summary, keep reaching out, doing this stakeholder outreach piece. Both Canadian Mental Health Association and Notre Dame Place, EPTEC, La Belle Alliance with Councillor Cameron, the Rio Las Construction Association of PEI, and the Summerside Legion. And it is the 100th anniversary of Legions here in Summerside this year. And knock on wood, we'll have the HMCS deck gun here somewhere in the city, probably in front of the Legion, before we all celebrate that together. So it was a busy month, and that's my quick mayor's report. Oh, and I'll hand it over to Chair of Finance and Representative for Finance, Councillor McDougall. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'll give you the Reader's Digest version just so you can get home with your daughter. So I have a report here by Director Kristen McDonald. The Vulnerable Population Grant Program, we're accepting submissions for that, and it's up to $2,500 can be awarded. Also, the utility accounts overdue, they're still high compared to this time last year. Disconnections for non-payment have been occurring, and we strongly encourage anybody that receives notices to contact Financial Services. We're preparing for our annual year-end audit and expect our 2025-26 financial statements will be presented to Council in late August or early September. And based on transactions recorded to date, we're forecasting a small surplus for 25-26. And except for a deficit in Sunbank operation, we still have invoices being submitted for goods and services received prior to March 31st. And the resolution was presented this evening to adopt the General Tax Fund Debt Management Policy and Utility Debt Management Program. And the report on the key performance metrics outlined in these policies will be presented in the fall of 2026. Thank you.
Jeez. Thank you, Councillor McDougall. At this point, we'll call on Community Services and Tourism Representative, Councillor Trenholm. Councillor?
Sure, thank you. I want to thank Robbie Rankin for the report to start off with. And for the Summerside Dome, there's been many new faces for a multi-sport court. So pickleball, tennis, basketball have been very busy. The wedge golf season has ended with lots of new participants. And we are preparing to host the Boys and Girls Club, Tenacity, along with other many different sport groups this summer. Active Living Summerside Active Living has wrapped up our PD Day programming for the season. Our new registration software for the annual Shipwrights Run is now live and streamlined. We also have been receiving positive feedback on the spring programs recently introduced, and we continue to explore more ways to introduce new and engaging activities. Our summer fun schedule is complete, which begins the start of July. At the Island Petroleum Energy Center in Turk Glant Arena, the minor sport seasons have ended, and the beginning of the Atlantic hockey season has started, and we are hosting and we also hosted the ADL Food Show and Mardi Gras. Confederation Bridge Aquatic Center at the Credit Union Place, private and group lessons launched in April and started in May, and a new staff for the short term were hired or returning. Front desk at the bowling lanes, very busy, of course. Front desk and bowling lanes. Front desk was really busy selling CAPS playoff tickets, registering kids into summer lessons, and answering a lot of calls and information about at that time, the upcoming Centennial Cup. The convention center was busy with 57 individual hall rentals the month of April, including many AGMs, Skills PEI Jobs Fair, and a new annual gala and banquets. The Oval was booked for 13 events. The box office at Credit Union Place, lots of Centennial Cup packages were sold for single games, and as we know, the Caps put a gallant fight, and I think we all can agree they maybe deserved to win, but a good goalie made it not happen. And then also the U17 Canada Cup and the U15 Ray Carter Cup full event packages are on sale, and those both events are happening in August. Green spaces, there's lots of bullets there, so I'll just begin with a few. We awarded the RFP for the splash pad, which is going in Lafergie and Errol Thompson, and the accessible play structure, which is going in at Legier. We began boardwalk maintenance in partnership with Municipal Services, completed playground inspection and minor repairs, and we started a dog park on Northumberland Street. And in the sets world, again, lots of focus on the Centennial Cup. And we also have an exciting Canada Day lineup announced this year's main stage, featuring Alan Doyle and Matt Mays. And last but certainly not least, at the Marina and Curling Club complex, the Curling Club has finished their season. Everything went great. The process to remove ice has started following their last bond spiel on April 4th. We'll clean up the rink and turn it over to Bogside as they prepare to host some events. So Bogside, famous Pepper's Pizza and Crafter's Smokehouse have had a strong opening in the past few months. We have begun to work at the marina getting ready for the season, and the final note, we have a posted job ad for a junior sailing instructor in the hopes of getting that junior sailing program off and running again. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trenholm. I'll now call on Representative for Governance, HR, and Legal Services, Councillor McCollum. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to thank Director Kendra Gunn for the report for Human Resources and Legal Services. Current employment postings include an active living program leader, business modernization coordinator, swim instructors, and lifeguards. Summer students have been hired at Culture Summerside, Electric Services, and Technical Services Department, with funding assistance provided by Canada Summer Jobs. Congratulations to Haley Young, who was the successful applicant for the Culture Summerside assistant position, and Gordy Carriger as the marketing and communications coordinator. The selection process for a part-time dispatcher is now in process. Staff attended monthly joint Occupational Safety and Health Committee meeting and attended the annual Workers' Compensation Board Safety Conference. Staff participated in a mock emergency measures exercise coordinated with the Provincial Emergency Measures Office. As well, the department was involved in the development of a new smoking in the workplace policy. Staff presented an update on the diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy to council members. City staff participated in an annual fundraising bake sale for the PEI Humane Society. The department liaised with the city's medical health plan provider on a number of staff inquiries. As well, staff liaised with the city's pension plan custodian to address inquiries from staff and pensioners. Department staff continue to support all city departments with staffing, labor relations, human resource and legal issues, policy drafting and bylaw interpretation, and worked with external legal counsel on a variety of legal matters, including drafting and reviewing contracts and leases, and supporting civil claims and IRAC appeals. And that concludes my report on behalf of the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. Now call on Representative Morrison for Municipal Services. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to thank Director Greg Goody for this report, too. Public Works, Water and Sewer Utilities highlights. Roadway right-of-way repair will be completed this month. If any residents see any item of concern after the end of May, please call 902-432-1268 to record the concern. Street sweeping commenced this month, and its activity can be followed on the city's website. If you see Kirby around the city, wave to the operator for keeping our city streets clean. Thank God for Kirby. Traffic line marking started this month, and center lines will be completed by the end of June. The operations group are currently investigating priority areas for more durable paint materials to improve traffic marking durability, and will have the recommendations to the committee by the end of November. Electric utility highlights. The pole removals for those residents that have multiple poles in their right-of-way frontage is being hampered by the transfers of wiring from Bell Aligned. The city has sent a listing of 118 poles to Bell Aligned for work that is delinquent in getting completed. Along with the late work notification, an invoice was sent to Bell for $190,050, plus HST under the existing agreement between Bell and the city for lateness in actioning the pole work to allow removal. Of the 118 poles in the original listing, there remains over 60 poles needing to be worked on before removal can occur. The city hopes to have the poles removed by the end of the fall of 2026. And the work for the new circuit through the Center Ward continues this month. With this work required, outages will occur as the city builds a new circuit valued at $2.5 million. Customers should look for news on the outage notices due to this construction. And just to touch on the poles, I do believe, and I could be wrong in this, but I seen a contractor, I believe, on Notre Dame Street today, and it looked like to me that they were removing some of the old infrastructure from the old poles so the old poles could be removed.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Now call on Councillor
Can I
Can-
just ask a question?
Councillor Adams, yep, so go ahead, question.
I won't keep you much longer, but, so when you say like they're being prioritized, the lines, so like Water Street East and the multiple turn lanes now, like they're not existent anymore, so people that are trying to turn into Starlight and Schooner, they know that they're there, but oncoming traffic coming in doesn't know, and it's gonna be a head-on collision if that's not prioritized soon. So just something maybe we can. Yeah, well, of course, we should have had a suicide lane the whole way up, but anyways, that's not a hill I'm gonna die on, but anyway.
Yeah, Councillor Morrison, I'll leave that to you to take that back as representative to staff.
But I
Do the-
suspect that anything on Water Street East would be priority.
Great, thank you, Councillor. We'll now move to, sorry, any more questions? We'll now move to Representative Cameron for Arts, Culture, and Diversity. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to Director Lori Ellis for the following report that captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activities for the April 2026 time period. Wyatt Heritage Properties, in partnership with Culture Summerside, has an exciting lineup of events and partners for the 2026 edition of the Summerside Arts Festival, happening June 8th to July 4th, with a citywide celebration of creativity, community, and artistic expression, featuring hands-on workshops, live musical performances, creative kids day, art alley artists, and artisan demonstrations at Summerside Classic Car Nights and the Summerside Farmers Market, along with collaborative community art projects and more. You can find more information on the citywide celebration of creativity at WyattHeritagePropertiesInc.com. With 2026 marking the 150th anniversary of harness racing in Summerside, Summerside Lobster Carnival is presenting Raceway Days. Raceway Days will feature 4 days of live racing, entertainment, great food, and family-friendly events, all leading to the thrilling finale, the Governor's Plate. The new edition includes a community pancake breakfast, a family zone with loads of activities such as miniature tractor races, the launch of an all-ages amateur singing competition, and tons of dynamic photo opportunities. The event takes place from July 15th to the 18th, 2026 at the Credit Union Place and Red Shores Raceway here in Summerside. That week, our small city will be abuzz with 20,000 plus festival goers, celebrating PEI traditions of harness racing, great food, and activities for all ages. Past attendees of the Summerside Lobster Carnival will be welcomed with familiar activities such as traditional PEI lobster suppers, musicians and performers, carnival rides, and our local colorful community parade. In addition to the Summerside Raceway Days in July, programming includes Diversity Festival, the Pride Walk and Community Barbecue, and the return of the Summerside Latino Festival. Additional summer programming includes the Old Fashioned Carnival, concerts in the garden, a full roster of museum tours at all our heritage and cultural sites, and a kids' culture camp in August. And that's it for me.
Any questions for Councillor Cameron? Sorry, I missed it on the last one. Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Councillor. Let's see what do we got next. Technical Services Representative, Chair of Planning Board, Chair of Planning Committee, Councillor Duran.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. And thank you to Director Aaron McDonald for preparing the report, Director of Technical Services. As in previous years, staff will provide a city map highlighting the locations of planned projects for the upcoming season. This map will be posted on the city website and updated regularly as projects progress. In March, 15 building permits were issued with a total value of just over $5.98 million, and this brings the year-to-date total to 33 permits valued at $13.6 million. March permits included 2 commercial alterations, 2 institutional alterations, 2 semi-detached dwellings, 1 secondary suite, 1 accessory building, 4 demolition, and 1 permit for a 25-unit apartment building. Developers continue to meet with staff to discuss proposed projects for the year, and this is also a great time for residents to seek guidance on any projects that they are planning for 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Any questions for Councillor Duran? I have one quick one. Councillor, I'm wondering if tech services can work with communications potentially, or at least just look into it as to whether or not we could put signage at some of the more significant construction projects that are happening in the city with a simple, you'd probably have to get a separate domain name, but make it easy for residents to be able to identify where they can go to see what the timeline is for all of the projects that are happening in the city. It's great to be able to share that we all know about it, but I bet 99.9% of residents don't and won't, and sometimes just by putting it there lets them know that it exists. So I'm not sure if that's something that tech services can work with comms on, to just put some signage on some of the more major ones. That is, I'm not the comms expert, but start date, end date. Here's where you find out here in Summerside, because again, it's just a really valuable tool that we have, and so better to get that tool out of the belt in use as opposed to hidden away.
Absolutely.
That's my question.
Yep, I hear some, and I see some note jotting down behind me, so we'll Confer.
Pass it along. Thank you. Representative Deputy Mayor Snow, Economic Development and Growth.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following summarizes some key activities and initiatives advanced by the Economic Development Office. Cairns Boulevard Master Plan, RFP issued. The city has issued a request for proposals for a corridor-level master plan for Cairns Boulevard. The engagement has 2 deliverables. First, a fully rendered vision document illustrating what a complete, coherent Cairns Boulevard community could look like, grounded in Summerside market conditions, and collaborate to what local buyers, renters, and businesses will realistically support. Second, a parcel-specific package for each landowner along the corridor, illustrated, formatted, and actionable, so that individual property owners can understand precisely what their land can support and what steps are required to move forward. The output is designed to be usable, a document a landowner can take to a lender, share with the prospective purchaser, or use to initiate a development application within the city. One Island Partnership, the office continued to advance the One Island Partnership with the City of Charlottetown with a focus on coordinated investment attraction and business growth strategies that strengthen and combined value proposition of both cities to external investors and prospective businesses. Economic Development Newsletter. The monthly Economic Development Newsletter was published and distributed to local, national, and international audience. The newsletter highlights investment opportunities, labor market information, and collaboration prospects available through Summerside and the broader One Island ecosystem. Physician retention supporting role. The Economic Development Office has been re-engaged as a supporting partner in physician retention efforts centered on spousal support and community integration. This work is led by Prince County Hospital and Health PEI. The office's role is to provide community and economic integration support, connecting physician spouses and families to employment, business, and community opportunities in Summerside. Retention of medical professionals is a shared community priority, and the office is pleased to contribute where its mandate adds value. This has been prepared by the Economic Development Office for the City of Summerside, and it concludes my monthly report.
Thank you, Deputy Snow. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, we'll now move on to Representative Adams, Representative for Emergency Services and Communications. Councillor?
Thank you. First off, start with communications. Thank you to Acting Director Tanner Duran. I'm not sure where you found the time in the past 10 days, but during April, the Communications Department remained active across a wide range of initiatives supporting all departments in major campaigns, community events, and ongoing corporate communications. Efforts included promoting city hiring opportunities, utility and service updates, Canada Day festivities, Mayor's State of the City address, Lobster Carnival Raceway Days, and upcoming Baseball Canada Championships. Credit Union Place Communications focused heavily on building momentum for the Centennial Cup, which just finished up this past weekend, along with Noah Dobson's Hockey Fest. Comms also supported the Western Capitals playoff run and Fit Stop programming. Comm staff also continued to support emergency services communications with Summerside Police Services and the Fire Department through timely public advisories, media relations, and event promotion, including charitable initiatives and the new fire hall groundbreaking. Finally, the department also welcomed Jordy Carriger as the new coordinator of marketing and communications, strengthening capacity moving forward. And there's a full report for everybody in the package. And we'll go to the fire service next if anybody has any questions. During this is for April, it's usually a month behind. So during the month, firefighters responded to 25 calls, 0 medical first responder calls. Yay, that's nice. 25 silent alarms and 0 general alarms. Firefighters took part in 252 hours of training. Members met with TOSH students to talk about impaired driving effects of drivers, passengers, and the victims. They met with Boys and Girls Club to talk about job opportunities with the fire service. Chief Edmund attended a city EMO tabletop meeting. Summerside has ham radios set up in the city hall in case we have an EMO emergency that involves communication towers being destroyed. The operators of this group have made a presentation to explain why they might be a good resource to move from City Hall to our new fire hall. And 3 of our members attended a critical incident stress management course. And also Ken Culleton does this up, and he also has the 2026 SFD fire calls to date. He just adds a new column. If there's no questions on that, I will go to Summerside Police Services. SPS members completed the annual conducted energy weapons training during the month of April. Work continued with weekly meetings in continuation of the process of modernizing our standard operating procedures. On April 22nd, the chief and the deputy participated in the EMO tabletop exercise in relation to a major incident occur in the city. On April 21st, Summerside Police hosted a class from SIS who were given a tour of our facilities and also given a forensic identification demonstration by Sergeant Grant McLeod. And on April 29th, Summerside Police Services partnered with Consolidated Credit Union for the second installment of our public anti-fraud campaigns, where police members are on site at local banks to provide customers with information on ways to prevent themselves from becoming victims of fraud and scams. And that was submitted by Chief Jason Black here. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Any questions from council? Seeing and hearing none, we will move into our in-camera portion of our meeting. So we'll take a moment so we can disconnect from the internet.